Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So brothers, everyone come in close, please. Barakallahu feekum. So, was there anyone here that attended the first part of this class when we started it last summer? One, I think two, and I think some sisters. Brothers, I'm gonna recommend something to you, please, brothers and sisters. If you missed the first part of this series, it's on my YouTube channel. Please go to it. Please go to it and watch it. There is nothing, absolutely nothing in any way, shape or form, in life, in deen, in existence, that's more important than La ilaha illallah. Okay? It's the foundation of the entirety of this religion. It's the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the paradise and He created the hellfire. It's the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established the day of judgment. It's the reason why Allah azza wa jalla, He created you. He gave you these eyes, these ears, this mouth, this nose, these blessings for no other reason that so that you can manifest La ilaha illallah through them. Does that make sense? There's no basis for your existence. There's no reason for your existence. There's nothing except La ilaha illallah. For you to go to school, spend time going to school, working, getting money, saving money, getting married, looking for a wife, looking for a husband, having children, raising children, this, that, going to the gym, playing sports. It's all nonsense if you don't know La ilaha illallah. And the reality of the matter is that we don't know La ilaha illallah. Allah told Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam in Medina, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. In Mecca, 13 years the Prophet spent where he was receiving revelation from Allah Azza wa Jal. And he was being taught La ilaha illallah. Does anyone know better than him? Then when he moved to Medina, he's still, now 1 year, 2 year, 3, he's still getting revelation. This is 13, 14, 15 years after his prophethood, being the greatest of scholars, the greatest of creation, the greatest of mankind, the greatest of messengers. Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling him, Muhammad, fa'lam. He's commanding him, Muhammad, fa'lam. Have knowledge of what? أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِي ذَنْبِكَ. That there is none worthy to be worshipped in truth except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does that make sense? So if the Prophet has been told that, then what about me and you? None of us can say we've mastered this topic. So if you're here, I'm not going to recap that which I've previously done, because on the internet, it's online, okay? Please start going through it, okay? Even if you're not going to take notes, I would advise you to take notes. I really would advise you to go home, listen to it properly, and take notes. But if you're going to procrastinate, because some people, they say, oh, I'm not in the right mindset to take notes, this, that, and the other, so then they procrastinate and they don't even do anything, then just listen to it at least. We've all got headphones. I'm sure everyone's got a pair of headphones, okay? When you're on your way home, go to my YouTube channel, type in Da'wah Man, a study of the Shahada. Study of the Shahada. It will come up. There's 5 lessons that are already up. Start listening to the first one. And let it be every time you're traveling. Because we travel every day, we commute every day, bus, train, car, whatever. You're listening to it. By next week, inshallah ta'ala, you should have caught up with all 5 lessons, if not most of them. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to dive straight in. What we done is that we done the introduction to La ilaha illallah. We done the meanings of La ilaha illallah. We done where the 72 groups went wrong when it comes to knowing what La ilaha illallah meant. And we started in the last lesson the conditions of La ilaha illallah. The conditions of La ilaha illallah. Okay, and just this is the part that I'll recap just so you can follow on with where we left off. What do we mean when we say condition? You see, in the Sharia, we have actions that are required for us to come with, and these actions, before you do them, they require a condition. For example, the Salah. Before you do the Salah, there are some conditions. And I gave this example at the beginning of the previous lesson. You have to be in a state of tahara. You have to be in a state of tahara. Which means you have to have uplifted hadith, which is impurity from yourself, whether it be major or minor. And you have to have removed najasa, which is filth, from yourself. You also have to be facing towards the qibla. You also have to have your awrah covered. You also have to come with the intention that the salah is purely for Allah Azza wa Jal. You also have to what? You have to come with Islam. You also have to have reached the age of tamyiz. These are all things that you have to do before the prayer even starts. So the salah is one thing. Before I do the salah, before I say Allahu Akbar and I go into takbiratul ihram, whilst I am in a state of qiyam, I have to make sure I've got wudu, I have to make sure I'm facing the qibla, I have to make sure the place that I'm playing is clean, my clothes are clean, my body is clean. I have to make sure all of these things. These are called conditions. So anytime you hear about condition, what is the condition of this action? What is the condition of this action? What is the condition of this action? Know that we are talking about things that you have to do before you even do the action. So when we say what is the conditions or what are the conditions of La ilaha illallah, what I'm asking you is what are the things that you have to do before you even say La ilaha illallah? Now if La ilaha illallah is the foundation of this deen and there is no deen in the absence of La ilaha illallah, there is no deen in the absence of La ilaha illallah, then guess what, brothers, sisters, alaykum salam, if you did not come with the conditions of the foundation of this deen, then the person has what? He has no deen. She has no deen. There is no deen for this person. This person has yet not even entered into the fold of Islam. Does that make sense? So we went through one condition from the conditions, which is knowledge. Knowledge of La ilaha illallah. Knowledge of La ilaha illallah. And we went through that. And that's the only one we've covered so far. There are another 6 conditions to go through, but we're going to go through 7. Because altogether some of the ulama, they said there were either 7 conditions or they said there were 8 conditions. The 8th condition, if you separate it, it's not a problem. And if you don't separate it, it's also not a problem. If you don't separate it, it comes under the other 7. Does that make sense? But we're going to separate it just because the more examples that we take and the more angles that we study La ilaha illallah from, the better you're going to understand it at the end of the day. So we're going to take the categorization of 8. And Shaykh Ibn Baz rahimahullah ta'ala was the one who done that. He categorized the conditions of La ilaha illallah into 8. Does that make sense? Good. So the condition that we're diving into right now is the condition of yaqeen, certainty. Before you come with La ilaha illallah, before you say Ashhadu an La ilaha illallah, you have to be in a state of yaqeen. You have to be in a state of certainty. If you are not in a state of certainty, and the opposite of certainty would be doubt. If you're in a state of doubt, then you have no La ilaha illallah. You do not have La ilaha illallah, brothers and sisters. You cannot be a Muslim. A person who does not have certainty is a kafir. Allah Azza wa Jal made it very clear. He said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, إِنَّمَا. إِنَّمَا, it's a word that shows hasr. It's a kalima that shows hasr, which means Allah Azza wa Jal is restricting the believers only to the following description. The believers are not what you describe or what he describes or what their shaykh describes. The shaykh says, no, you can be a believer even if you doubt. No, that's not what a believer is. Allah said, innama, that the believer is only what? Innama al-mu'minuna alladhina amanu, they believe. Billahi, in Allah, wa rasulihi, in the messenger. And after they believe in Allah and the messenger, ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا. After believing in Allah and the messenger, they have no doubt. They do not come with any doubt. They are in a state of complete and absolute certainty. They are certain. They are certain. Another evidence, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah." The Prophet himself, he swore, he took a testimony. He said, "I testify that there is none worthy to be worshipped in truth except for Allah Azza wa Jalla. Wa anni Rasulullah." And I, Muhammad, he said, I am the messenger of Allah. And then he said, no one meets Allah Azza wa Jalla with these 2 statements. And while meeting Allah, he has no doubt. He has certainty with regards to these 2 testimonies that he took. إِلَّا دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ, except that the person will enter paradise. Now, if you meet Allah and you don't have these 2 things, you have doubt with regards to La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, then you will not enter paradise. Does that make sense? So, I want to give you an example of what certainty necessitates. Because sometimes, the thing is, when you study Aqeedah and Tawheed, it's not something that is theoretical, brothers. It has theoretical elements, but it has practical things that it requires you to come with as a result of it. Does that make sense? So if a person has certainty, what does that mean? What does that mean for him or her? What will come as a result of that certainty? He will stay true to the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll give an example of certainty. At the time of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, during the Battle of Ahzab, which was a battle that was very scary for the Muslims. This battle was a battle that was so scary, Allah Azza wa Jalla, the way He described it in Surah Al-Ahzab, He didn't describe any other battle this way. Because the Muslims had a reason to be scared. They had a reason to be petrified. In the Battle of Badr, it was bad, because they were outnumbered 3-1. In the Battle of Uhud, it was bad, because they brought the fight to the doorstep of the Muslims in Medina. But the Battle of Ahzab was worse, because all of the enemies of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they came together and they formed one coalition. Quraysh, Ghatafan, the Jews, their neighboring tribes, they all came together and they all surrounded Medina. They all surrounded Medina. They're literally about to swallow up and eat up all of the Muslims. So the Sahaba suddenly began to get scared. Started to get worried. But within the ranks of the Sahaba, there were two types of people, and Allah described them. There were the hypocrites, and then there were the believers. The hypocrites, when they saw the army, they said, Allah and His Messenger lied to us. They lied. What does He mean they lied? Because Allah and His Messenger promised them victory, Promised them victory. The Prophet's been telling them, listen, you're going to have victory. You're going to conquer. Not only that, in the middle of this battle, the Prophet ﷺ, they were building a moat, a trench around the city of Medina. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was building, and there was a big fat boulder, and the Sahaba couldn't smash it. The Prophet began to smash it, and as he's smashing it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's saying, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, he's saying, I can see that the Muslims have conquered the red palaces of Sana'a, which is in Yemen. Then he struck it a second time and he said, Allahu Akbar. He said, I can see that the Muslims have conquered the white palaces of Persia. So the Prophet said, making these promises that you guys are, the Prophet said, listen, forget these little tribes here and there. You guys are going to conquer Yemen. You're going to conquer Persia. You're going to conquer Rome. You're going to conquer all of these places. So when the hypocrites, they heard the Prophet saying this, they looked at that army that surrounded them. They said, nah, Muhammad is a liar. He lied to us. He lied. How are we going to conquer Yemen and Persia and Rome? We can't even make it past Medina right now. We're not even safe in Medina right now. Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. So, that's the munafiqun. They didn't have certainty with what the Prophet said. Like when the believers saw the army, same situation, same place, in Medina, they saw the army surrounding them. When they saw the army surrounding them, the believers didn't even flinch. They didn't even flinch. Not for a second did they think we're going to lose today. The believers, rather, when they saw it, Allah said, زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. Their iman increased. But that's not normal. They saw the army, they saw these lions and these hundreds, thousands of soldiers equipped with weapons and everything surrounding them. They looked at them, and what happened? The iman increased. Why? Because they knew Allah's going to give them victory. For them, the victory was of two types. It was either victory by dying as a martyr, shaheed, and you will have Jannah, or it was victory by conquering over this army and conquering over the Arabian Peninsula and the rest of the world. They knew that promise is going to come true. So for them, they were excited. They said, either I'm going to get Jannah and I win, or I'm going to conquer this army and I win. And for them, they said that the only thing between me and Jannah or me and conquering and having victory on the earth is this army right here. They didn't care that the army was big. They did not care. They would throw themselves into the army. They would throw themselves into them. They would throw them, they're ready to do that. Why? Because they said, either I'm going to get Jannah or I'm going to beat them. Either way, Allah promises true. Allah and His Messenger never lied. They told us the truth. But I want you to imagine you're in that situation. Let me break it down for you. Let me contextualize it for you. Just imagine you've got a couple ops that are surrounding you. You find yourself, you're in what they call op block. You're in the ops block. Wrong place, wrong time. Your boys are not there. You ain't got no tools on you. You shouldn't be carrying tools anyway. You're alone. You have nothing. They've surrounded you. Even the toughest guy would be very scared at that time. Sahaba in that situation, they didn't have the ops that surrounded them, like 5-6 guys. They had an entire coalition. Coalition means not one, not two, not three. There was 4 or 5 armies that came together. They had surrounded him. Not for a second did he flinch. They said, I'm going to get through this. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Because they had certainty, my brothers and sisters. They had certainty. Do you have that kind of certainty? We can measure it. We can measure it. You can't measure it from jihad because we're not in a state of jihad. We're not in a state of jihad, right? So we can't measure that. But I'll give you something else that we can measure. Little things. For example, the Prophet ﷺ told us, as narrated in Sunan of Imam al-Bayhaqi rahimahullah ta'ala, if I'm not mistaken, Sahahu al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, where the Prophet ﷺ said that for the person who prays the obligatory prayers 5 times a day, after each obligatory prayer, they should read Ayatul Kursi. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said that the one who reads Ayatul Kursi, there is nothing between him and her. So there's nothing between him and paradise, her and paradise, except for one thing, and that's death. So for the woman or the man who reads Ayatul Kursi, there is nothing between that person and paradise except for death. That's the only thing that's between them and paradise. Only thing. So what that means is basically if you die and you're a person who used to read Ayatul Kursi, you're going straight to Jannah, inshallah. You've heard this now. Some of you probably heard this in the past. You've heard it and you probably don't do it. Many of you. If you're hearing it and you really have certainty, my brothers and my sisters, be certain now. At the end of each salah, make sure you read the Ayatul Kursi. Because for the one who's certain, he knows, he says, listen, I know I'm going to get this Jannah. And I only have what? I only have to read one ayah. Ayatul Kursi is one ayah. I'm going to do that. But the one who doesn't do it, the reality is that I'm not going to say he has no certainty because then he would be a kafir. I'm not saying he has no certainty, but his certainty is low. And by the way, your certainty can go up and down levels. Yeah? Your certainty can go up and down levels because Ibrahim alayhi salam, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, show me. He said, show me what? How you bring the dead back from the life. So how you bring the dead back to life. How you bring the dead back to life. And Allah Azza wa Jalla said, he asked me a question. Are you questioning? Are you doubting? Do you not believe? Do you not believe? He said, no, Bala, of course, certainly I believe Allah. But why? He said, I want to do it so my heart can have tranquility. Meaning, I want my certainty to increase. I want to become more certain. I'm already certain, Allah. I know you're going to bring the dead back from the life. But if you show me how you do it, Allah is going to make me even more certain. It's going to make me even more certain. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying just because you don't read Ayatul Kursi after Salah that you now have shak in the religion and you're a kafir. No, I'm not saying that. Because all of you, inshallah ta'ala, you have yaqeen. You at least have a basic foundational level of certainty. But now make your certainty go up. The more certainty you have, the stronger your relationship with La ilaha illallah is. So this class about La ilaha illallah, right? That certainty is going to help you. The same way we said what? The first condition is knowledge. A person who has no knowledge of La ilaha illallah is a kafir. A person who's got a basic level of knowledge, he's good. He's got basic. He's a Muslim now. But the more knowledge you have, the more you study, the more classes you come to, the more you study books of Aqidah and Tawheed, Nawaqid al-Islam, Al-Qawaid al-Arba, Usul al-Thalatha, Kitab al-Tawheed, Kashf al-Shubuhat, so on and so forth. If you go up the ladder, your knowledge as it increases, your relationship with La ilaha illallah strengthens. Same way, the more yaqeen you have, the more your relationship with La ilaha illallah strengthens. Question I want to ask you, how do you increase your certainty? By increasing in knowledge. Knowledge increases certainty. Why? Because certainty only comes after knowledge. Can you be certain about something that you don't know? Can you be certain about something that you don't know? No. You have to first know it, and then you become certain about it, right? You have to first know a thing, then the second stage after coming to know it is you have certainty. Right? So, the more you seek knowledge, the more your certainty will increase, inshallah ta'ala. Now, I just want to touch on something, because I know when you talk about this issue of certainty, some people start to get really scared. Because some people, they have waswas. They suffer from whispers of shaitan. So when you suffer from the whispers of shaitan, what happens? When you suffer from the whispers of shaitan, you think to yourself you're doubting. You are asking questions. Questions are coming to your mind. But you're not necessarily doubting. Does that make sense? So I'm going to explain the difference between shak, which is doubt, and waswas to you. And that way you'll be able to understand the difference between the two. Does that make sense? So, shak is when the doubt, it settles in your heart. It's when the question settles in your heart. Waswas is when it didn't settle in your heart. It came to you. The question came to you. The thought came to you. It came to you. But what did you do? You fought with it. You wrestled with it. You didn't let it go into your heart. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned in Surah An-Nas, when He was discussing shaitan, and when he comes and he does whispers to you, Allah said, الَّذِي يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ. Shaitan is the one, he comes and he whispers to the chests of people, the chests of mankind. Allah didn't say يُوَسْوِسُ فِي قُلُوبِ النَّاسِ. He didn't say He whispers into the hearts of people. He whispers to your chest. Because your chest is like a balcony for your heart. Like for example, imagine you're on a building. You have a room and it has a balcony outside the room. Now you're inside your room, the patio is closed, the door is closed. Shaitan can't enter in your room, but he comes onto the balcony of your room. When he comes into the balcony, he whispers to you, he says, Psst, yeah, come on, I want to say something to you. And he calls you. When he's calling you, are you listening to him? No, you're warding him off, you're ignoring him, you're pushing him off. He's saying, get out of my face, shaitan. I have nothing to do with you. You say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim, and he runs away. But now imagine you start to actually listen to him. What's he saying? Sounds interesting. Maybe he's got a point. You go closer towards the window. You place your ear next to the window. The more you start to listen to him, the more you will now fall into his alone. And when you do, and he lures you in, you will then open the door, you will let him in. And then he will enter your house, he will enter your room. The balcony is like your chest, and the heart is like the bedroom itself, the house. Shaitan will come and whisper to you all day, every day. As long as you don't entertain his whispers, and you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Shaitan, you will ward him off, inshallah ta'ala. You will ward him off. But if you listen to the whisper, he comes to you and says, does Allah exist? And you think, does Allah exist? You start to think about it now. You start to discuss it. You start to look for reasons. You start to go onto the internet, search. Does Allah exist? What happens? Shaitan now gets excited and he throws more doubts your way. He throws more doubts your way. And then it becomes a roller coaster of doubts for you until you're overwhelmed, and now the doubts settle in your heart, and now you are a person where shak has entered into your heart. Shak means 50-50. Whoa, I am not sure if Islam is true anymore. None of you are at that stage. You believe Islam is true. You believe it's true. That's why you're here. That's why you pray 5 times a day. That's why you came to the class to learn. But some of you might be suffering from waswas, doubts. He's throwing them at you, left, right, center. The only way to deal with his doubts, there's two ways, as the ulama they explain. One way is to say, A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytan rajim, and he runs away. Shaitan, he runs away. To do dhikr, and he runs away. The second way is that shaitan's coming at you with an army of doubts and onslaught. There's no way except to just ignore. You have to make shaitan like a pain in the neck that's just talking in the background. You say, shut up, bruv. Shut up. You keep talking all night. I don't want to hear it. You just have to ignore it. And that's the only way to deal with it. Does that make sense? Brothers and sisters, if you start to wrestle with the waswas of shaitan, you are now a mujahid. You're a mujahid. You're doing jihad with the greatest enemy of Allah, which is Iblis, which is shaitan. But if you do not wrestle with him, and you give up the fight, and you let him throw these doubts your way, and you get sucked in, you're at risk of losing certainty, which means you're at risk of losing your Islam. Does that make sense? That's why we say to people, when they come and ask too many questions, they don't ask too many questions. Just study, the answer will become clear. The reason the reason why we're not answering your question is not because we don't have the answers. Wallahi, we do. But the reality of the matter is that you can ask questions for days. I give an example. They came to the Prophet ﷺ. Show you not every question needs an answer. Sometimes if you answer this person, it's long, he's just going to come with another question the next day. They came to the Prophet ﷺ and they asked him, they said, you're telling us, because you know the mayta, which is the dead corpse of an animal. If you find a camel dead or a cow dead or a sheep dead, can you eat it? No. Who killed that animal, by the way? Allah caused it to die, right? But the one that you can eat is the one that was killed and slaughtered by the person, the Muslim, who slaughtered it according to the Sharia of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the one that you're not allowed to eat is the one that Allah caused to die, and the one that you're allowed to eat is the one that the human killed. So then the Quraysh came to the Prophet ﷺ. They say, Muhammad, you're telling us that we cannot. Sorry, the Kuffar, they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they said, Muhammad, you're telling us that we cannot eat the one that Allah killed, but we can eat the one that you killed. You see the shubha? You see the shubha, the doubt? How would you answer that? Now the Prophet knows. He stayed quiet that day. The Prophet didn't give an answer. Because if he said, no, you can't eat the one that Allah killed, then they're going to be like, look, he says Allah, you can't eat Allah. You eat the one that he kills, he's putting himself above Allah. That's what they'll come with. And if you say, no, you eat, some answers, questions, you can't answer them because they're going to come with something else. So the best thing to do is just be quiet sometimes. And tell this person, akhi, just study your deen. Because the more you study your deen, the answer will automatically, organically become clear. Because why is it that you can't eat the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused to die? Because Allah said so. Allah said so. Allah is the one who said you can't eat that. That's from Allah. What the wisdom's behind it, that's a secondary discussion. The primary discussion is, Allah told you. Does that make sense? So then the believers have certainty, Allah is saying this to us. So they say, okay, I'm not going to eat the one that Allah caused to die. I'm not going to eat the dead body of the animal that just died in the wilderness. But the Quraysh or the Kuffar who are questioning, they don't have certainty this is from Allah. You see the point now? They don't have certainty. And that's why they are not eating the animal. Or they are preferring to eat the animal. Does that make sense? Because this is not from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm digressing. The point I'm making, brothers and sisters, is that not every shubha or doubt needs an answer. Sometimes it just needs to be ignored. You just need to ignore it. I need to just study your deen, study your religion. And automatically, the certainty will settle in your heart, and inshallah ta'ala, you will be able to do away with it. Does that make sense? Good. That is the second condition of La ilaha illallah. We're going to now move on to the third condition. By the way, those of you who didn't bring a pen and paper to take notes, please bring one next week. And if you don't want to take notes on pen and paper, you want to take them on your phone or on a tablet or a laptop, no problem. But just bring some kind of an instrument to take notes from. Does that make sense? Because it doesn't make sense that you come to a lesson and you don't take any notes. Shall I tell you why? Because if you went hunting for an animal and you shot the animal, you got the animal, you captured the animal, what would you do? You tie it up so it doesn't run away, right? I can imagine you exerted all that effort and you did what? You just let the animal go. You didn't tie it up. You captured it, but your arrow went to waste. Now the animal's gone. You wouldn't go to work, collect money and put it in your pocket if your pocket had a hole, would it? You'd make sure that you stitch up your pocket so it gathers all the money. But the guy who knows he's got a hole in his pocket and he keeps putting money in there is an idiot. Because he gathered all that money, but he didn't benefit from it. So you come to a class, you have to now benefit from your knowledge, my beloved brothers. Does that make sense? I'm not calling anyone an idiot, by the way, because I understand that some people, they come to a class not knowing the difference between a class and a lecture. Because generally speaking, when you come to a lecture, you don't take notes. Because you just hear it's a reminder. It's really not supposed to be something that you take notes. Just let me get an iman boost. But this is a class. So this might be the first time you guys are coming to a class. So I don't want anyone to think I'm insulting them. You'd be an idiot if you did it next week. This week, you're not an idiot. Don't worry, inshallah ta'ala. You're like me. I made the mistake many times. In fact, I was a bigger idiot because I used to hear this advice and still not take notes. Does that make sense? But inshallah ta'ala, learn from our mistakes, because that way you will benefit from the knowledge. Does that make sense? You will capture it. The Salaf would say, we used to capture knowledge with our pens. We used to capture it with our pens. Does that make sense? It's like capturing an animal. You capture it with your pen. So the third condition of La ilaha illallah is ikhlas, sincerity. Okay? Now, firstly, what does ikhlas mean? What does this word mean? Ikhlas, it means, so it's the word that the Arabs would use to describe milk that's pure. Milk that doesn't have any taint to it, it doesn't have any water to it. Because you know, some people, what they do is that they take the milk and they pour water in it, they dilute it. Why? So they can make the volume of the milk more, so they can sell it to more people, right? If I had a cup of milk with me and I poured some water in there, I can now have 2 cups of milk. I could pour half in one, half in the other, and add water, and now I've got 2 cups of milk because I've diluted it, right? So that is milk that's not khalis. But milk that's khalis is milk that's pure. It's pure. It's just the authentic, 100% real thing. Does that make sense? So ikhlas, when you say you have to have ikhlas in ibadah, sincerity in ibadah, what we mean is that you have to have complete purity in your ibadah for Allah. The same way that milk can't have any taints. Your ibadah can't have any taints. Your ibadah has to be purely and solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your ibadah has to be for Him alone. And what's the evidence that this is a condition of La ilaha illallah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla said that we did not command them anything. Look what Allah said, وَمَا أُمِرُوا. Allah said they have no commands. There's no command. Forget all the commands that you have. Forget it. There is no command. Except that you were told that whenever you act out that command, you act out the salah, you act out the zakat, you act out the fasting, you act out the hajj, whatever you act out, you do it too. How? With sincerity. وَمَا أُمِرُوا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ إِلَّا. You were not commanded to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way except مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ, except with sincerity in this religion. Another ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, أَلَا لِلَّهِ الدِّينُ الْخَالِصِ. That is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Him is the pure religion. So brothers and sisters, you have to be pure in your ibadah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu about the people who are going to receive the shafa'ah on the Day of Judgment, the intercession. On a day when the sun is going to be above your heads and you're going to be drowning in your sweat due to your sin, and Allah will be angrier than He has ever been before. Who are the people that are going to be most happy with the shafa'ah? The Prophet said, أَسْعَدُ النَّاسِ بِشَفَاعَةِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ مَنْ قَالَ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ خَالِصًا مِنْ قَلْبِهِ أو خالصا من نفسه. The person who's going to be the happiest with the shafa'ah on the Day of Judgment is going to be the one who he said La ilaha illallah, she said La ilaha illallah khalisan min qalbi. And she and he was sincere at the time that they said it. They said La ilaha illallah, I'm saying it purely for Allah's sake. And they meant it when they said it. And they understood what it meant. It meant ridding yourself from all false gods and directing yourself only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, of course, there is a mafhum al-mukhalafa in this hadith. If the people who are most happiest with the Prophet's shafa'ah on the Day of Judgment is those who said La ilaha illallah with sincerity, then who are the ones who are going to be the most unhappy on the Day of Judgment with the Prophet's intercession? Who is it? Those who said La ilaha illallah and they didn't say it with sincerity. They didn't have sincerity in La ilaha illallah. They said La ilaha illallah. Why? Because he wanted to marry, he just wanted to marry some girl. So he just said he didn't mean it. He's saying it for her. He says La ilaha illallah what? Just to fit in with the crowd. Now, for example, my brother was telling me, I went to visit a brother in prison, and he told me, because in prison, there's a lot of Muslims, sadly. The bad thing about that is that it shows that we're slipping up. But the good thing is that it shows that if you ever end up in jail, you're going to be taken care of, inshallah. I remember the brother is so funny, wallahi, he was telling me, he was like, Akhi, wallahi, I don't know the deen, bro. I don't know the deen. When I come out of the deen, I can't tell you nothing. But if you ever come into the wing, bro, he goes, I got you. He was like, I'm thinking, bro, inshallah, I'm not going to have to come. I'm not going to have to come into the wing. But anyway, he was telling me something. He was telling me basically, Jum'ah, when he went out to pray Salat al-Jum'ah in the prison, it's like he left, he put his thobe on, clean thobe, he put the atar on, and he smelled good. And he was like, my prison smelled, it smelled very nice. It smelled very nice, right? Because when I came back into the prison cell, he said, I see some guy sitting in the prison. Because they have shared cells, right? So a new guy comes into his cell. And he said, I look at him. He goes, I can smell some disgusting smell. Stinks in here. Because then I looked at the guy's feet and I clocked his feet are stinking. His feet, they stink. Assalamu alaikum. And he was like, I told him, I said, bro, get the hell out of my cell, bro. You better get out of it. And the guy's like, no, act. No. He goes, I'm a good guy, I'm an okay guy, I'm a cool guy, my brother. So he goes, oh, what? You're Muslim? Because if he said to him, yeah, he's about to what? He's about to let him go. Because even though he's in prison, he's still a Muslim at the end of the day, right? And the guy's like, no, I'm not Muslim, He goes, get out of my cell. Get the hell out of here. The point I was making was that guy, he was pretending to be Muslim. He's using the word akhi, this, that. Why is he doing that? Because he's trying to get something out of it, right? If I say to you, akhi, my brother, inshallah, I'm rewarded for saying that. Why? Because I'm calling you my brother, I'm showing you love, I'm showing you a word of love and care and affection, of closeness. Akhi, my brother. That's what it means. But when a kafir says akhi, there's no reward for that. He didn't say it with sincerity. Why did he say that? He said it why? Because they didn't want to be kicked out of the cell. Sometimes you see guys on the road and they see a brother, yo, wagon ma'ak. Shut up, akhi. What do you mean wagon ma'ak, akhi? I'm not your ak. The believers are brothers, akhi. You're not a believer, akhi. You're not my brother. But why is he doing it? Because the acts are running the ends. The acts are the what? They're sadly the drug dealers. And they're the ones with the most clout on the ends. So he's trying to get in with the acts. The point is, it's insincerity. Now, you might not be on the roads, so you might not be facing that kind of insincerity. But another kind of insincerity that you might face is when it comes to issues of salah. You're praying, and we all know this example. You're praying. In fact, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story that they mentioned. There was a brother, and he was in the masjid. He started praying, and there was people there that started watching him pray. And because they're watching him, he's slowing down the salah. He's making it seem so nice for them. And then they're looking at and they're talking, so he can hear that, mashallah, look at this young brother. He's got so much khushu', Allahumma barik. He's praying so well. And then he starts to slow down his ruku' and slow down his sajda. Most people will be like, Allahu Akbar. He's there like, Allahu Akbar. He makes sure you can hear that, Allahu Akbar. That's the way he does it. And they're like, wow, this brother, man, he is righteous. He's reciting slow, some long surah. And they're thinking, this brother, like, this is what his maghrib's like. What must his tahajjud be like? Allah barik. So they're just gassing him up, talking. At the end, he goes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. He looks over them. You know what he says? He goes, by the way, I'm fasting as well. They're like, wow, this guy is amazing, mashallah. The point of the matter is that why did he do all of that? He did it, he was showing off. He was trying to earn their what? He's trying to earn their approval. He wasn't praying to Allah, akhi. He was praying to them. Did you hear what I just said? He wasn't praying to Allah. He was praying to them. His body was making sajda to Allah, but his heart was making sajda to them. His tongue was reciting Fatiha for Allah, but his heart was reciting Fatiha for them. And what is shirk? Da'watu ghayrihi ma'ah. It is to make dua or to worship Allah and to do someone else besides Allah. So this person, he's got two gods now. He's got Allah, that's his God, and he's got the people he's trying to impress as his God. So brothers and sisters, you have to be very conscious. Why are you doing this act of worship? And wallahi, I mentioned it last time. Some people come to the class, and why do they come to the class? Because their friends are coming to the class. I know for a fact, sisters come to the class because they want the brothers to notice them as they leave. Don't think I'm not onto you, look. I'm not saying that necessarily sisters who are here, but I know how sisters are. They watch the vlogs, so they might see, you lot in the vlogs every now and again, or in the videos. They think I'm trying to catch myself. A medical student like Zakaria, Allah Barik. So they'll post up right outside, pretending to be all righteous, Allah Barik. That's the reason she came, she wanted a husband. She says, it's not a problem that you want a husband, but just purify your intention when you come to the class. Same with brothers. I'll be honest with you, back in the day, I remember brothers used to say, Wallahi, akhi, let's go to this event. There's going to be sisters there. Might get married tonight. So getting married is not a problem, akhi. But it's the reason why. You know what I'm saying? The reason why you come to the class. Because you know what you're doing, akhi, you have to understand, akhi, like jokes aside, this is worship. Brothers and sisters, this is ibadah, man. Are you doing it for Allah? Ibadah is the one thing that can only be for Allah. If you make it for anyone else other than Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are now doing shirk. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions are in accordance to their intention. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions are in accordance to their intentions. وَلِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. And every person will be rewarded in accordance to his intention. So if you intended Allah in this act, Allah will give you the reward. But if you intended a woman, or your friends, or money, or whatever else it is, then what is it? What is it? Your reward is not with Allah, it's with this person. On the Day of Judgment, you don't have Allah to look for a reward. Go to the people that you've done the act for. Go to them, because they're the ones who you have to seek the reward from. You've done it for them. And this thing, wallahi, brothers and sisters, is something that we're all struggling with. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Inna akhwafu ma alaykum, inna akhwafa ma akhafu alaykum ash-shirkul asghar." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the thing that I'm scared for you the most, the thing that I'm most scared for each and every single one of you, is the minor shirk. وَسُئِلَ عَنْهُ. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam then was asked about it. What is minor shirk, ya Rasulullah? What is the minor shirk? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ar-Riya, showing off. Showing off. Wallahi, this thing about showing off is such a disease, my brothers and sisters. None of us are safe from it. None of us are safe from it. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said that shirk can creep up inside the heart of a person undetected. More undetected than a black ant underneath a stone on a dark night. Imagine, would you be able to identify that black ant underneath that stone on a dark night? Would you be able to identify it with the naked eye? Can you see it? Can you see the black ant? Namlat Sauda, the blank ant, underneath a stone. And it's a pitch black night. You can't see that with the naked eye. And Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said that shirk, it can creep up inside of you like that. You don't even realize it. And that's why you always have to purify and refresh your La ilaha illallah. You always have to come to classes of La ilaha illallah. Look, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّ ذِكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Remind them, فَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Remind the believers. For verily the reminder, it benefits who? The believers. So in the context of reminding the believers, what did Allah say after that? وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We did not create the humans and the jinn for any reason, Assalamu alaikum, for any reason except that they should worship Allah alone. Pay attention. The believers who Allah is telling وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ to, do they already know that they've been created to worship Allah? Of course the Sahaba and the Prophet knew that. But Allah is reminding them. Why? Because the reminder benefits the believers. But like when we have a class about La ilaha illallah, look at this. Class of the Shahada. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 people come. In fact, 24 because the cameraman doesn't count. We have 24 people, and then maybe there's like what? I don't know how many sisters, 10, 15 sisters, 20 sisters. But if we said this class was on marriage, packed up. So the class on jinn, packed up. Class on hur'in, packed up. Class on how to have barakah in your rizq, packed up. Packed up. But La ilaha illallah, everyone, no one comes. You know why? Because they think they know it. And that's the disease. You know why? Because La ilaha illallah is a shirk will creep up inside of your heart undetected, my brothers and sisters. And you don't even realize. This is the thing, shaitan is working 24/7 because he wants you to go into hellfire for eternity. So he's coming at you 24/7 with shirk. He's thinking of ways and avenues to throw it at you. Look, so many of you, what do you say? Mum's life. You say, swear my mum's life, or mum's life. Or now you just say mum's. That's shirk. That's shirk. You can only swear by Allah. You're saying it and you don't even know. You're saying it and you don't even know. Does that make sense? So the point is, you have to be very careful when it comes to La ilaha illallah. Because Iblis is wanting to take you to the hellfire. And it can creep up inside of you undetected any minute. Does that make sense? I just want to talk about the issue of showing off just very quickly, and then inshallah ta'ala we'll conclude the lesson. Brothers and sisters, the love of fame, hubb al-shuhra, is the thing that even a righteous man suffers from. Love of fame is the thing that even a righteous man suffers from. Imam al-Shatibi rahimahullah ta'ala in his Kitab al-I'tisam, he said that the last thing a righteous man cleans his heart from is love of fame. I want you to understand what he means when he says this. The last thing a righteous man cleans from his heart is the love of fame. Pay attention. When you want to cure and clean yourself from sins and filth, there are filth on your body, there's filth on your tongue, and there's filth on your heart. The filth on your body and the tongue is always harder to clean, but the filth in your heart is always hardest. I'll give you an example. How many times we see a brother with a beard, thobe, trousers above his ankles, he's with the brothers, he's not watching no pornography, he's not hanging around with no girls, he doesn't swear, Allah barak, his tongue is clean. But he's an envious person. He's got envy in his heart, jealousy. He's got hatred in his heart towards some brothers. He's got what? Hatred. He has what? Bad intention for brothers. Sometimes he's rude. He deals with people in a rude and evil way. I'm not saying he's not righteous, he is. Look, he's got a beard, trousers above his ankle, he's not hanging around with no girls. He's always in the masjid, praying 5 times in the masjid, he prays tahajjud. He's righteous, wallah he is, Allah barik. But the thing is, the heart is something hard to work on. Heart is something hard to work on. You see a girl, she's good, she wears the niqab. Prophet, you know how hard it is to wear the niqab? How hard it is to wear the jilbab, especially there's a heat wave right now. But she's doing it. But man, she's got bad manners though. She's got bad manners. It doesn't mean she's a bad girl. She's righteous, wallah, she is. But she's struggling with the hardest thing that we all struggle with, which is the heart. So now, lowering your gaze is easy compared to the heart. To stop backbiting is easy compared to the heart. Imam Shatibi saying, a person cleaned himself from all of the sins of the body, all of the sins of the tongue, and he cleaned himself from all of the sins of the heart. He's not jealous, he doesn't have hatred for the believers, he doesn't have envy, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. The last sin of the heart, the last stain on his heart that he'll be able to rid himself of, for him to say, I cleaned my heart, is what? Love of fame. But the love of fame is right there. It's inherent in every single one of the children of Adam. We always want to be heard. We always want to be seen. We always want to be known. And with the advent of social media, it's even worse. Everyone wants followers. You put out a post for the followers. You go on live for the followers. You put on snaps for the followers. It's bad enough that you're doing it for people because it makes you a slave to the people. And it makes you want to please the people, and you'll do haram to please the people. But it's even worse when you're doing it in acts of worship. You're coming out on social media, you take a picture, you put this, you put that. Ask yourself, why? A lot of the time, if you dig deep, you did it why? You did it for the likes and the followers. You did it so the girls could DM you. That's why you did it. That's why you did it, man. And that's why a lot of people, they talk a lot of rubbish on social media. Look on Twitter, half the guys talking rubbish, Islamically or non-Islamically, whatever. It's because they're doing it for the girls. They're backbiting people, slandering people because they know what? Probably when I retweet this against Da'wah Man, some Shia girl is going to follow me. And he knows the Shia girls, they like to do mut'ah. So he's thinking, you know what? I might do a mut'ah for tonight and have myself a girl for the night. A'udhu billah. Don't think I don't see what's going on in the timelines. Anyway, the point of the matter is that, why are you doing this? Does that make sense? I want to read you some examples of the Salaf to show you how they were when it came to the fear of fame. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, one time he was walking and there was a group of people that were behind him. When a group of people were behind him and they were following him, he looked at them and he said, why are you following me? Do you have a question you want to ask? Is there a reason you're following me? And they said, Ya Ibn Mas'ud, we have no reason why we're following you except what? We just want to be with you. You're Ibn Mas'ud. You are Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. We just want to be with you, bro. Ibn Mas'ud quite angry. I know what he feels like here because sometimes I'm in a place and there's brothers, they come up and they say salam, right? So obviously once you say salam, you're supposed to keep it moving, right? And they just stand there like looking at you. Something, and I'm like, is everything okay? Like, you want to ask anything? No, just chilling, bro. Why are you chilling, bro? Don't you have friends to chill with? Why are you chilling with me for? The reason why I get upset, and some people, they get offended when I just kind of move away or I run away. Look what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu he said. When they said, we just want to be with you because you're Ibn Mas'ud. We just want to be with you because you're Ibn Mas'ud. He looked back at them and he said, don't. Leave me alone. For two reasons. Number one, he said, this is a humiliation for you. It is a humiliation for you. Because a person who's following someone is humiliating himself before them. He's humiliating himself before them. Look at you, like a dog behind the person. Like a dog just out there. Please, I want to be with you. Celebrity comes through, so I want to be with the person. Guy sees a YouTuber, a vlogger, he sees this guy. Oh my God, look at him. He starts hyperventilating. Bro, chill out. He's a human being, bro. What the hell is wrong with you? Do you understand? You right now look so low. You right now are so humiliated. You've made another human being like there. And you and him the same. You bleed the same way. You breathe the same way. The same earth will take you. I can be normal, bro. Don't act funny around people just because they're known. It's you humiliating yourself. And the second thing that Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said, it's a fitna for me. And that's the point I want to focus on. He said, this is a fitna for me. This is a test for me. What he's trying to tell you is, it's going to affect me. The way you keep following me around and you keep saying nice things to me, it's going to make me start to feel like, whoa, I'm someone that deserves to be followed. I'm someone. But Ibn Mas'ud knows that he's no one. But he is someone. If there is anyone who deserves to be followed, it's him. But yeah, he's saying, nah, don't follow me. Because as far as he's concerned, he thought, I'm a nobody. Like Abu Ubayd ibn Jarrah radiallahu anh, he said, I wish that I was just a goat, that when I died I was slaughtered and my meat was given out and the people, they ate me. He's from the top 10 promised Jannah, but he's saying, I wish that was just an animal. Because he doesn't think anything of himself. He thinks, I'm going to stand on the day of judgment, I might get punished. He's promised Jannah, akhi, but he sees himself to be low. Ibn Mas'ud sees himself to be low. He's saying, don't follow me. So brothers, wallahi, I'm really against this concept of, following people. It makes me sick. It makes me disgusted. Because you're humiliating yourself, and the one who you're behaving like that in front of, you're making it a fitna for him. He's going to start to think that he's someone. He's going to start showing off now. He's going to start doing haram now. He's going to start doing minor shirk now. Because you're giving the fuel that his nafs needs. Remember, the nafs, in nafs amaratun bisu. The nafs, it commands you to do evil. Your soul, your nafs, it wants you to do evil. It's inclined to the evil. So when you're out there, yeah, look at you go, wallahi, you're the best, you're sick, you're amazing, this, that, and the other. You're giving the nafs the fuel to show off. And then this man is going to fall into minor shirk. So that's why you see people of knowledge, wallah, I've seen in Medina, the ulama, they're rough, man. They're rough. They'll just leave. You think, no, he's being rude. Wallah, he's not being rude. He fears for himself. A man came to Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, he kissed him on the head. The Shaykh pushed him away. The man came to kiss him again, the Shaykh kicked him in his chest. Ustad Abdurrahman, our teacher saw it with his own eyes. He said, he kicked the Shaykh, he dropped the Shaykh kicked him in his chest. You think he's being rude? Wallahi, he's not rude. He fears hellfire for himself. Because the man's not going to leave him. Does that make sense? The man's not going to leave him. My brother, Shaykh Asim al-Quruti, is one of Shaykh Albani's students. He comes to our Umrah trips when we come. He comes to visit the brothers. The last Umrah trip, we were there. He came, and Shaykh Asim, anyone who knows Shaykh Asim knows he's the sweetest, most softest man, wallahi. Allah, man. He's so gentle. He's so loving. He's so halim, man. People are rude, disrespectful, but he's so patient with them. He's not the person who does anything rude. In the lobby, my brother saw him, he kissed him on his head, Shaykh pushed him off. Damn. Where is it coming from? Because he doesn't want to be under fitna. Now, my question is, why have I told you this? If this is how Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu is, and I don't have time to mention all these other examples, even Imam Ahmad and Imam Abu Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani rahimahullah and whatnot, I don't have time to mention all this because the lesson's going to go on too long. But why is it that all these great men and Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, Asim al-Quruti, why is it that these scholars are like this? Why? Ustad Abdurrahman, he told me about his Shaykh Ahmed Imam, who's one of the most knowledgeable men in Somalia. He always has a shimagh that is tied around his face. Why? Because he's doing dhikr and he doesn't want people to see that he's doing dhikr. He's with you talking to you and he's saying, astaghfirullah. But he doesn't want you to see it. So he's got his face covered. Why are they doing this? Why? Because they know fame is a fitna. So if it's a fitna for them, ya ikhwatul kiram, is it not a fitna for you and me? So then be careful on social media. I do not advise brothers. Wallahi, I'm a really bad role model when it comes to this, man. I came onto social media early. I shouldn't even be on it now, man. I came on early. I came on and I was a jahil, ignorant person, and I had nothing to offer, wallahi. And I made many mistakes. I misguided many people. I pray Allah forgives me for it. Every guy wants to talk about this deen now. And I'll be honest, fame was getting to me. Of course it was getting to me. Ibn Mas'ud is not free from this. You think I'm free from this? So you start to make videos just for the views, just for the likes, just for the subscribers. It's dangerous, man. It's dangerous. Now, alhamdulillah, I had a teacher that grabbed me by the neck. And I had friends who grabbed me by the neck. And they didn't let me carry on the way I was carrying on. Alhamdulillah, so I fixed up. But I saw people who started off with me, they weren't able to fix up because they didn't listen to their teachers, didn't have friends, didn't have teachers to stop them. And they went and they carried on, and the fame, it took them. And now they're destroyed. Look at all these people who set up these YouTube channels. Wallahi, at the beginning, it's innocent. I'm just going to be a little vlogger and make, Middle Eastern comedy and Islamic pranks and all this kind of stuff. Remember how Fusi Tube started off Middle Eastern comedy? Now what? Now look at the way he is. May Allah forgive him. Look at Adam Saleh and the way they are now. Look at Dina Tokyo. My intention is I'm going to come out and I'm going to do hijab tutorials to empower young Muslim women. Yay! And now she took the hijab off. Now, she took the hijab off, right? So you see why it's problematic? Wallahi, fame, you know, in your mind, you're like, I'm not even doing da'wah, bro. Don't worry. Like, I understand da'wah, fame, I'm not even doing that. I'm just going to make a YouTube channel, trying to get, do a business, YouTube kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? Instagram. I'm saying, bro, don't make it about yourself. If you have to make a YouTube channel for your business, for this, do it for the business. Don't build it around yourself, because fame is a drug. Wallahi, when it intoxicates you, you won't wake up. You won't wake up. Inshallah ta'ala, I want to give you 4 advices on how to make yourself sincere. How to make sure you protect yourself from sincerity. I want everyone to write this down. These 4 advices changed my life. Write them down on your phone, inshallah ta'ala, if you don't have pen and paper with you, but take note of this. Number 1, when you do acts of worship, do acts of worship for which people cannot say thank you to you for. Do things that people cannot say thank you. Like, for example, I'll give you my example. I make videos, and in the comments people are like, MashaAllah, Allah barik, Jazakallah khair. But then, I now need to try and do things for which people are going to be able to not say thank you to me. Meaning they don't know it's me. That's the point. Do things in secret. Do things in secret. Help someone, give charity to someone, and they don't know. If you send someone a money transfer on Monzo, or from your bank account, it pops up. So-and-so sent you money. Now, I know you didn't do it to be insincere, but he's going to tell him, what's he going to say? Thank you. Now, go to the bank account, go to the branch, and put it in anonymously. £50, where the hell did it come from? He can't say thank you. That's purely for Allah's sake. Go online, go to Crisis Aid, which is a trustworthy charity, Allah barik. Look at the projects for Yemen, for Sudan, Syria, Kashmir, around the world, Bangladesh, Rohingya Muslims. Donate some money. No one's going to say thank you to you. No one knows. Qiyamul Layl, last third of the night. No one can look at you and say, MashaAllah. It's not just saying thank you. No one can see you. No one can praise you. The point is do an action for which you will receive no thanks and you will receive no praise. And this is the hardest one to do. You know why? Because there's no benefit in it for you. Every other action is a benefit. Making a video is a benefit. Praying in the congregation is a benefit. When you come to the masjid, you pray 5 times a day, it's a benefit. Because one of his uncles is going to pull you out one day, or you think he's going to pull you out and say, MashaAllah, this brother is going to be the one for my daughter. But Qiyamul Layl, there's no benefit, man. It's just you. In fact, you're taken away from your sleep. You're taken away from your time. You're tired. You're shattered. And you're praying that. Brothers, pray Qiyamul Layl. Qiyamul Layl is a proof of your iman, brothers. Brothers, pray Qiyamul Layl, pray Tahajjud. It's one of the most intimate times that you can have with your Lord. And it's a proof that you remember the same way, I said, do you really believe when the Prophet said that you go to Jannah if you read Ayatul Kursi after your Salah? Do you really believe that Allah come down the last day of the night and He says, who's calling me so I may respond? Because Allah said that. He said, who's calling me so I may respond? Who's asking me so I may give? The one who believes that with certainty, at night he can't sleep. Impossible. Impossible for him to sleep. You hear me? It's impossible for him to sleep. That's the first one. Do acts for which you will not receive praise or thanks. Do acts in secret and private. The second one is the more your time increases doing good in public, the more your time should increase doing good in private. So if the good that you do is, you come into classes in public, you're doing da'wah in public, you're out there giving lectures, reminders, you're making videos, you're benefiting people in public, you're doing fundraisers for charities in public. Now know that if your public image is increasing in goodness, then your private image in goodness should be increasing as well with Allah. So if I gave one lecture today, I should, not that I'm saying I do, I'm not talking about myself, but I'm giving an example. I should now spend private time with Allah now as well. Because if you see that your private time with Allah is decreasing, but your public time is increasing, then is it really for Allah's sake? Now you're starting to get pulled away towards the people. And that's when riyah, that's when showing off, that's when it starts to kick in. The third advice, brothers, and this is a golden advice that I benefited from so much personally, is stick with the people who know you best. People start practicing and they start getting, the reason I'm saying this is because a lot of you are starting to get known as a community. Like Allah, I start to see, some of you are doing things in the community. MashaAllah, brothers setting up, like football projects, Allah Barik, fundraising projects. Got brothers starting up other projects, left, right, centre, charity projects, to start helping with classes. Allah Barik, some of you, MashaAllah, on Twitter, you're known. You know what I'm saying? You're known. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to increase in the public eye, people start to show you love. They look at you, like the random guy who doesn't know what you really do behind closed doors comes to you and says, bro, you're amazing. Wallah, you've done so much for the community. Wallah, you've done so much for us. You know what I'm saying? And if you start spending more time with those people than the people who, like your mum, your dad, your wife, your best friends, the ones who really know you best, then there's a problem. You know why? Because those guys know you for who you truly are. And they're not going to give you praise left, right, centre. Like, sometimes if I give a khutbah and I tell my dad, come listen to me give a khutbah, he doesn't slap me in the face and say, I'm not coming to a khutbah, bro. You don't even clean your room. You don't know how to clean your room. You really want me to stand and listen to you on the minbar talking to me when you yourself don't know how to clean your room. If I come home and I tell my wife, like literally, it's a true story. If I come home and tell my wife and say, babe, life, it was emotional today, people crying, so many brothers off the streets, they look like they want to change their lives, this, that, the other. She doesn't look at me and say, good. Did you bring milk? I say, wallah, I forgot, babe. I didn't bring it though, because I was just with the brothers, and it was emotional, and there was guys, and da-da-da. She's going to say, but you forgot the milk. So as far as she's concerned, I'm a waste man. She does not rate me right now. You know why? Because she knows me best. So she's not going to get fooled by the glitz and the glamour. You understand? Stay with those who know you best. Stick with those who know you best. My friends, this is one of the reasons I don't go out, brothers. Wallah, I don't go out. I don't hang around outside. And if I do, I have a very small group of people that I'm with, and I'm with them on a day-to-day. Because I can't be fooled by my surroundings. Stick with them because they're always going to humble you. You understand? Like my friends can log onto my YouTube channel, they have the password, and just delete a video if they don't like it. If I have another video they don't like, they just delete a video. Like Gulayd, just literally, I released a video on Ramadan, he was like, what the hell, bruv, you named it some mad name, he changed the title of the video. And I can't say nothing to him. What, I'm going to fight him? What? Over a video, over views? Like, come on, bro. If I didn't, that's where it starts to get insincere. So now I need to understand, brothers, the more people start to get to praise you, the more you should be running away from them and spending time in private with those who know you best. So that's the third advice. Be with those who know you best from the beginning, those who've known you for years. Those who've known you for years. None of this fan business. And the fourth and final advice, my brothers and sisters, which is the foundation of all of this, is to seek knowledge. The Salaf said countless times, we started to seek knowledge for other than Allah. But knowledge refused to be except for Allah. We started to seek knowledge for other than Allah, but the more we studied, the more we saw that knowledge, it refused to be except for Allah. Some of them said that we used to go to seek knowledge for other than Allah. But the more we studied, knowledge purified our hearts. For example, some of scholars would come were very poor. So they would come to the class because they would give out food at the end of the class. That's why sometimes in the masjid we give out food. So they would come to the masjid because they'd give out food at the end of the class. And they were poor and they didn't have food. So they'd come. But then the more they would listen. Eventually they said, you know what, first we used to come for the food, but now we come for Allah's sake. First we used to come for the food, now we come for Allah's sake. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, we used to give out Louis Vuittons and Balenciagas and Valentinos. People come for the shoot, but they leave for Allah's sake. Does that make sense? So this is something that knowledge, it purifies you. So I don't want anyone to think, hey, I'm insincere, I'm going to leave this action of good. Don't ever do that, by the way. That's another trick of shaitan. The scholars say, if you're about to give charity and shaitan comes to you saying you're insincere, no, never leave it. Because another thing that shaitan wants, he wants you to be insincere, he also wants you to not do good. So that's another trick of shaitan. You have to understand and study the way the shaitan moves, bro. I have to study books like Talbis Iblis by Ibn al-Jawzi, or have little parts and understanding of them, because they told you how shaitan, he operates, how he traps you. That's a trap as well. Never stop a good. Never do a good insincerely, and also never stop a good because you think you're insincere. Do jihad with yourself. The jihad in within itself is an extra reward that you'll get. Does that make sense? So keep coming to class, keep spreading khair, keep doing, sharing beneficial things, online, inshallah ta'ala, but keep seeking knowledge. If you do these 4 things, seek knowledge, stick with those who know you properly, spend private time with Allah, and do deeds in private. These 4 things, my beloved brothers and sisters, will protect you from being insincere, inshallah ta'ala. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Yo,
what's going on, bro?
Yeah, I got the thing.
What? How much is in there?
20 mil.
You being serious?
Yeah, hold that. It's yours now.
You guys are probably wondering how this dusty looking camera is worth 20 mil. Let me break it down for you. About 6 years ago, some brothers and sisters gave us about £600 in order for us to purchase this camera to make da'wah videos. 6 years later, alhamdulillah, we made well over 1,000 videos and we reached over 20 million plus views on YouTube alone, without taking into account all the other social media platforms that we're on. So those people at the time when they gave that money, I don't think they had any idea that £600 that they gave was gonna go towards a camera that would reach 20 million people who watch videos and they changed their lives after having watched them, who watched these videos and started praying, who watched these videos and accepted Islam. Can you imagine if they were sincere, the kind of reward that they're gonna get on the day of judgment, inshallah ta'ala? But now here's the issue. This camera is 6 years old. I mean, there's cracks in it, it's breaking, it's well past its sell-by date. We're trying to take things up to the next level. In order to do that, we need a new camera. In fact, we need more than one. We need more equipment. We need to actually hire a bigger media team. But all of this stuff, it comes with expenses, it comes with costs. And over the next 6 years, inshallah ta'ala, we're looking to reach well over 20 million people. Now look, I'm gonna be direct with you. I'm about to ask you for some money to put towards the da'wah for the sake of Allah. But before I do that, I wanna tell you some figures, some statistics to show you the kind of reward that you might be looking at, inshallah, if you come with sincerity and the donation. Just take a look at the kind of numbers we have over the last 90 days. Over the last 90 days, we received over 1.4 million views on our YouTube channel alone. That's 466,000 views every 30 days. That's 15,555 views per day. That's right. You could be in your sleep, sleeping 6, 7, 8 hours a day, however much you sleep, and just earning a reward, inshallah ta'ala. Why? Because you gave a bit of money that went towards a very big project. Now, with that 15,000 odd views a day, if you average that out across 6 years, which is the lifespan of this camera, do you know how much reward that is, inshallah? That's 34,065,450 views. I don't know about you, but that kind of reward, I need that in my life. This is not the kind of opportunity that we should be passing up, especially if you've got sins. The Prophet ﷺ said that giving charity wipes away sins the way that water, it extinguishes fire. So look, say no more, inshallah ta'ala. I don't feel like I should have to convince you towards giving to a project like this anymore. If you want that kind of reward, you want the da'wah to spread, you want la ilaha illallah to spread across the internet, inshallah ta'ala, then you want to give at the link below to this project. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Remember, 20 mil, yeah? And that's on YouTube alone.